ladies and gentlemen. Let's welcome to our first episode of Biomedcast Season 2. I am Stevelyn.
And I'm Fidelis.
And today we are joined by two esteemed guests who bring us a wealth of knowledge and expertise to our discussion. Please give a warm welcome to Dr. Lim Choi Ling and Dr. Shamala Savamani. Without further ado, let's dive deep into our conversation. Dr. Lim and Dr. Shamala, could you both please do a short introduction of yourself?
Okay, I'll start first. So I'm Dr. Lim. I'm an associate professor in the Biomedical Science program, Division of Applied Biomedical Science and Medical Biotech, currently holding the head of division position, and I'm very passionate about biomedical science. Yeah, that's about me.
Okay, hi guys. So I'm the current program director of Biomedical Science. So I just took over last year, November. And my background is biochemistry. So you can see me in all the biochemistry modules. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, to start off our new season, as you all have heard, we have our new program director joining us today. So we would like to ask Dr. Shamala, what has inspired you to take on this role as program director?
So basically we go through rotations, right? So all of us will have experience of taking this role. And obviously this role needs a lot of leadership, coordination, resource management, and I think the greatest of all, problem solving. So I think in order for me to brush up all these skills, right? So I take this as a challenge and to gain my experience. Yeah. So that's why I take up this role.
Then, Dr. Shamala, could you share with our listeners like some of your goals and initiatives that you would like to have in this program?
Okay, so for this year, our program will undergo a full accreditation review in June 2024. So basically, we're going to apply for Malaysian Allied Health Professional Council, and we are working for that, so that we will get our program accredited by this AHP. Right. Another thing is we are now focusing on bringing more GTP partners, graduate training partners. Why? Because we want to secure more place for our internship, and also we want to give the pathway for our students to secure more jobs, basically. Yep.
Hopefully, Dr. Shamala can achieve this.
As a team.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's this question that I'm pretty sure like all biomed students will have is how to survive and thrive in biomedical science.
Okay, that's the common thing that usually they ask me, how do you survive in biochem, and how we actually wanted to cope up the whole program of biomedical science, right? So usually what I tell my students, like all of you here, say stay organized, make sure that you are keeping your assignments, the deadlines and all that on par. So that would be the first thing. When you have larger tasks, I think maybe you can make it into smaller portions, and then you do one by one rather than accumulating it. That will be the first one. Effective studying habits. So I think it's very important to find out what are the study habits that suits or match you the most. Like some people will do flowcharts, mind mapping. Some prefer to do group study. I think once you try, then you feel like that method works on you. So I think you can adapt that and go on. That would be the second. The third one is seek understanding rather than memorizing. That would be my main point to all the students out there, or potential students, because you have to understand the principle and the concept rather than memorizing. So when you try to understand, you obviously can convey that into information and also knowledge. Yep.
Hopefully, all our biomedical science students can get this tip and implement it in our studies.
Yeah, another one more very important thing. The last one, actually, we should stay updated with the current trends. I think we have to read a lot. As biomedical scientists in future, you have to get yourself updated with the current research. What are the current trends, what is the skills that is needed. Read a lot of journals, papers, and online informations. Yeah.
So, this is a question for our biomed students, right? But I'm pretty sure there are listeners that are not biomedical science students. So the next question is, what is biomedical science? And could Dr. Lim answer this?
Sure. Be happy to. So biomedical science, to me, in a general definition, is a combination. It's like a marriage between biology and medicine. So if you look at these two areas, so if you study medicine, you become a doctor. If you study biology, you become a biologist. But if you marry these two concepts together, what you get is a biomedical scientist. Yeah. So with the love for biology, understanding how nature works, and medicine, the love for medicine, to understand how the human body works and what are the current therapeutics and diagnostic measures, for human health. So if you marry these two, it becomes biomedical science. But the more complete definition of biomedical science is a field that explores the science of human biology and medical science to develop knowledge, interventions, or technology that's used in healthcare and public health. So that's a more complete definition of biomedical science. Yeah.
So I think that every year there's always this question: what is the difference between biomedical science and medical biotechnology?
Okay, thank you for the question, and I hope to share this as well for some of you. Many of you have asked this question in education affairs, and even students come up to me. So I've given the definition for biomedical science. What is medical biotechnology then? So you see the word technology, biotechnology there. So biotechnology is a very vast field. It can go into agriculture, marine biotechnology, plant biotechnology. But medical biotechnology is actually using applied science, the sciences for medical applications. So in definition of medical biotechnology is using living cells and cell materials to produce pharmaceutical and diagnostic products that help treat and prevent human diseases. So that is the full definition of medical biotech. So in a nutshell, the differences between these two, although simplified, I would say biomedical science is more towards understanding the therapeutics and the diagnostic tests to diagnose diseases, whereas in medical biotechnology, it's more for applying technology to help diagnose and treat patients. So that's a major difference between the two. Yeah.
Is there a difference between goals and methodology of this biomedical science and biotechnology?
Absolutely. In some ways, they do overlap. For example, in research, whereby it's multidisciplinary anyway, right? So in research, for example, drug discovery, you will need applications from biotechnology and principles from biomedical science to solve a research question. But the goal, if you look in the syllabus of the program itself, the objective and the focus is quite different. So in the biomedical science, or at least in the IMU biomedical science program, we have modules such as cardiovascular and respiratory system. We study clinical modules like clinical biochemistry, hematology. So we have a lot of focus on those type of modules. Whereas in medical biotechnology, we focus more on, let's say, structural biology, omics. So these are more of application type, which is also very cutting edge, very interesting. But these are to resolve some issues, some problems in medical sciences. Yeah.
So other than the difference between biomedical science and biotech, I'm pretty sure that a lot of us are actually confused when we choose our courses. What is the difference between biomedical science and biomedicine?
Yeah, that's a good question, but it's no simple way to answer that. It's just a matter of terminology. If you ask me what's the difference between biomedical science and biomedical engineering, then there's a clearer definition, there's a clearer difference. Engineering will require the use of physics and development of actually prototypes, for example, prosthetics, right? That's more of biomedical engineering, and instrumentation, developing the machines for biomedical science use. But biomedicine is actually very similar to biomedical science. Some countries or some universities use these terms interchangeably. I've also heard of universities using medical bioscience, or medical sciences.
Biomedicine.
Biomedicine, medical science, biomedical science. So all these three terms have been used interchangeably. But do bear in mind that with MQA, to register as a biomedical scientist with the Allied Health Professions Council, as Dr. Shamala mentioned, you need to have degree in biomedical science, or in Malay we call Science Bio Perubatan, or MLT, Medical Laboratory Technology or Medical Laboratory Science. So it's very clear that it's only these program titles. Yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Lim, for clearing our doubts. So next, do you have any interesting or any surprising real-world application of biomedical science that our listener would like to hear?
Okay, I'm taking a quote from our by now very famous Dr. Rebecca Tay. She's our beloved industry advisory board member and also CEO of Beacon Precision Diagnostics. So her passion is in precision medicine, right? As you've heard before, she's shared many stories about why it's important. So we're moving to an age whereby the awareness about medicine is changing, and understanding omics and understanding our genes and how that relates to how our bodies metabolize drugs differently. The awareness is getting more and more in the public. So yes, precision medicine, just how, for example, if you take 2 pills of Panadol versus some of us who only take 1 pill and that works. So how do you explain that difference, and why is the dosage the same for all adults? So that is going to change in a matter of years, yeah. And whether it will be applied across the board, whether it will be practiced clinically for the public, is still a question mark. But research is really getting there, pharmacogenomics. So that is one example of how biomedical science can be applied in the real world. Yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Lim, for clearing the doubts and giving us such an inspiring example with precision medicine.
So, Dr. Shamala, can you share some of common misconceptions about biomedical science?
Okay, so basically people think that once we talk about biomedical science, the term biomedical science, we are always hero behind the scene, where we work in the lab, right, in the pathology lab. That's a common place that we ended up with. So that is it's not the only thing that we will ended up with, obviously, right? So there are other opportunities that comes along the way, like, we can actually explore the industry. We can be product specialists, involved in sales and marketing, and then we can always involve in research and development. A lot of biomedical scientists are doing great in research, healthcare, and also health sciences, medicine related research. Also, they can become science communicator. This is very new, and some of the students are exploring this. Policy making, insurance underwriter, a lot of other skills, a lot of other areas that can be explored further. Okay, talking about today we attended a talk
that was organized by the Malaysian Biomedical Science Association, and one of the talks was by Mr. Ahmad Bazli. He is now in the enforcement team for the Act 774, which is something I think we need to talk about.
Okay.
This is the Allied Health Professions Act that was gazetted in 2016, and now we are currently trying to register all biomedical science graduates, and we need to have a license to practice, right? So the talk was on that.
Yeah,
and
so basically what they
yeah.
highlight is even biomedical scientists, like you all, can even explore healthcare administration rather than working inside the lab alone, So there are a lot of potential areas that we can cover. So that is one. So usually it's not that ending into the lab all this while, but you can explore further based on your capabilities and abilities. Yeah.
Can I say something? Sorry,
Yeah,
can
sure,
I say
no
something
problem.
about this common misconception?
Yes.
It's like biomedical science graduates have no jobs. I would like to.
I
yeah,
thought
I
they
would like
always
to
ended
protest.
up in lab.
How
come no job?
I think I heard a lot of it before I'm joining a biomedical science program in IME. I was thinking, should I join? Because a lot of people, including like my seniors, they say, no, don't join any program involving biology. Like
Exactly,
no job,
see?
no
No,
job.
I don't
was
agree
like,
when
oh,
no job,
really?
As long as human exists, there is disease. As long as there is disease, as long as we need to live, there will be lab, there will be diagnosis. Then definitely the core business will be there.
Yeah, exactly.
What could be the misconception would be like ending up in the pathology lab, or how we're going to explore further. But no job is definitely not a topic of
that's why we
discussion
came up-
supposed to be.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's why it came out discussion.
Yeah, we can go on and on and on about the type, so many different
Yeah.
career pathways that our graduates have gone into. But also, one more thing, the job opportunities are there. How competent we are as fresh graduates to basically be above and beyond what employers are looking for. What are employers looking for? And this is something we have to ask ourselves. Is it just the CGPA, or is it the set of skills that we're going to equip ourselves throughout the university life that we're going to take? Yeah, so definitely a myth, yeah? Biomedical science graduates have no jobs.
Yes, exactly.
I want to
So,
dispel the myth now.
Here's
Yes.
another question. How do the memes that we talked just now will impact the public perception of this field?
So basically, what they'll be thinking, the underestimation of the program. Usually, people underestimate when we tell biomedical science. Okay, you just ended up in the lab. That's all. You can't go beyond. Die in the lab, 24 hours. Take rotations. That what? Seriously, that's what people think. But actually, it's beyond. So I think in order for us to break this myth, so we have to have more graduate explore different types of field. We even have people our graduates involved in policy and also funding decision making. So a lot of there's also a new percentage, about 3% last year, exploring in embryologist. So a lot of new field that is being explored. So I think we are breaking the myths, telling that ended up in lab alone is not the way of biomedical scientists for this era. Right? We are going beyond, of course.
Yeah. So, Dr. Lin, can you answer it? How do you think the media contributes to the propagation of memes and misconceptions about biomedical science?
Xiaohongshu is one platform. Of course, you have TikTok, Instagram. As long as the myth is being perpetuated, it's not only social media, but word of mouth. People tell people, and then parents tell their kids, don't go for science. Even STEM, science, technology, engineering, it's not a very popular pathway. I think only about 20-30% are going to STEM education now. The rest are going to arts, business, economics. So it's quite a sad thing. So yes, coming back to the question, social media is not really helping, and that's why do more of this, please. It's more of the lack of awareness, I find. And then when people share things like, I can't find a job. But we need to think for ourselves when we see comments like this. Why did that graduate was not able to find a job? Is it the lack of opportunity, or is it the lack of coming back to competency? Yeah, how industry ready was the graduate? How graduate? So we have this graduate preparedness programs, right, that we have in IMU. GTP is one of that graduate trainee program, in which we rope in the industries, the companies to offer you jobs. Yeah, and this is a 1 year, 6 months to 1 year program. After your internship, your course is completed, and it's salaried, so you're employed by the company. So I feel that opportunities are there, and how do you equip yourself with the right skills to grab it and make yourself be advantageous over the others? Yeah, so we need to play a part, I suppose. That the information is out there, it's floating out there. We need to just perpetuate positive and right information. We can't delete all the messages out there. That's impossible. What's out there on the internet, what's out there, it's there. But we need to promote and prepare good content like this and get it out there a lot more. Yeah, that's what I think.
Can I add a bit?
Can.
So basically, what we saw in the media is supposed to be an individual's perception.
Yeah.
Just like what Dr. Lim was telling, because it's supposed to be they are not prepared or they are not that ready to enter the particular market, right? So I think it's very important for the individual to brush up all the skills which is needed. You just come and then graduate as just in having a degree, based on your academic alone. Definitely it won't be sufficient. So we have to have other skills, to make sure our cell is sellable, right? Seriously. So what are the other skills that we're supposed to brush up? Our leadership skills, be active in all the society, showcase yourself, critical thinking skills. What are the other things like hands-on skills, right? All the other skills will make you as a person that is needed by the industry or even the diagnostic lab. Because personalities matters as well, attitude matters as well. So it's not just the academic alone. But obviously, I think Dr. Lim have covered very well on what is the role of academic here. So I think that's the individual perception, so which we're supposed to break. When we have more success stories, I think this can overtake that.
Yeah, actually I do agree with that. Anyway, so Dr. Shamala, how can you really employ to dispel the misinformation and improve the public understanding of biomedical science?
I think another way is engagement with public. What you're doing now is sort of engagement, to the potential students or potential biomedical scientists out there. So that is how we are doing. Other than that, school visits, we're actually giving a lot of knowledge to the students, telling like what is biomedical science is all about, and it's not limited just pathology lab alone, like what you heard from many of those outside in social media. Another thing is highlight real world examples, like what we have. Our own alumni is some of them doing very good. Most of them actually is doing very good. And then I think giving the real examples could tell the students that these people have done that with this particular program and this background of biomedical scientists. Why don't me? So I think that type of things can really change the perceptions of the public.
Yeah, I understand. Because actually, like so far the talking, like I do really realize that our school really get ourselves ready. Like we're having those kind of practicals. Like we really need to apply our knowledge on like the practical biochem practical. Like we're just not learning about the theory, but during the practical, we really see, oh, this is V0, oh, this is V max. Yeah, and they really apply to it.
Like you understand more by doing the practical.
Yeah, not only via the lecture notes, but really we are deep into it. Yeah, so I think school also prepare ourselves to become a real biomedical scientist in a way. So, do you think scientists never leave the lab? Is it true that scientists spend all their time in the lab? And what are those kind of examples of non-laboratory roles within biomedical science?
Okay, thank you for the question. Okay, I think we're pretty clear by now. Sometimes we don't step into the lab at all. Yeah, in certain careers, and sometimes we step into different labs. So if you go the diagnostic or medical laboratory pathway, then your lab, your second home will be medical lab. Whereas if you're a researcher, then the research lab will be a second home. But there are careers like what Dr. Shamala mentioned. Aside from insurance companies, you can become science communicators. You can work as product specialists in pharmaceutical companies.
Insurance claim associates.
Claims associates. And there's so many different pathways that you can go into. You can go into R&D, research, not necessarily in the academia, in the university, but also in the industry. So I'll give you one example. This is lab-based, but you can also do non-wet lab-based research. We call it dry lab. So bioinformatics, using programs to analyze big data, right? Big data analytics. Yeah. So to answer your question, it's not true that biomedical science graduates spend all the time in the lab. If you love the lab, there are careers for you. If you don't, there are other ways you can use your skills and your knowledge. Yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Lim, for the sharing.
So from discussing all of this, like what's the misconcept and stuff like this, one thing that me myself also trying to explore, like what are the other potential career paths that biomedical science graduate can then go into?
I think we have been talking about that a lot, but just to summarize, I think we should target more on the passion of the individual and also the preference. Also, most important thing is the personality. So some people don't like to talk, I just want to sit there, don't disturb me. I want to talk to the cells. So they be in research, right? So it highly depends on the personality so that you have a passionate job, I would say. So I'd just like to summarize back whatever we have been discussing. So when other pathways that you can explore as a biomedical scientist, you still can go to the industry as the product specialist, and then you can get into science communication, insurance company as the underwriter and also claim associate, policy maker, healthcare administration, and also the latest one I've mentioned, very interesting one. We have a higher percentage growing in that, our embryologists. Right, so I think this is a lot of examples that we could give here.
So because of these career pathways, right? Like when we graduate, like for our program in IMU, it's 3 years. But right after we graduate, how can we use our degree to go into these various industry? Do we have to continue with our masters or PhD? Then we can venture into this career paths, or we have other ways?
Okay, I think this is a very good question, how you can, again, coming back to sell ourselves, right? So obviously we should develop the skills. I think most important skills now, like what you're all having, the communication skills is very, very important. So very happy to see, very confident, like the way you are bringing up the entire team here. So I think problem solving is next, critical thinking skills, then how you adapt within the team. This is the problem like most of the students is facing, teamwork. I think struggling to work in a team. Every time they work in solo, they be silo, alone and all that. So that's very important skills that you have to get yourself ready before entering various industries. Okay. Second is understand the industry's need and trend. Like maybe you are interested in certain industry, understand what are the skills, what are the academic background, what are the challenges that this particular position requires. So do some investigation on the strength and weakness before you enroll into the particular thing. So that can keep you going further. Second is before, let's say you wanted to become a researcher, obviously you wanted to gain some experience prior to that particular position, obviously, right? So get yourself on hands-on FYP projects, right? So you select a topic which suits your interest. Let's say you are interested with hematology. Get that particular topic and then you gain some experience, gain some skills that you can put it in the CV later on. So that would add on the advantage, right? So even if you can publish a paper in our current trends, many of the students is doing that. I have few papers with our current trend students. So I think that is the way to go, like how you can equip yourself before getting into where you want to be along the way. I think that would be the I think very important part to highlight here. Yes.
So there's this question that some of us biomedical science students also have, is like, with this biomedical science degree, are we able to venture into medicine?
Okay, so thank you for the question. In fact, many of your seniors have ventured into medicine after completing the biomedical science degree. So I find the biomedical science degree a very powerful and very complete stepping stone or foundation into a medical degree. There is currently no exemption per se. Exemption meaning, can I go straight into semester 2 or semester 3 of medicine? Well, mainly because how the medical program, or at least in IMU, I can't comment about medical programs in other universities, at least in IMU, the clinical exposure, going to the clinics and patients, they start very early on. So they have start from semester 1. So it's a longer pathway, but with the knowledge and skills that you gain in biomedical science degree, I think that would be very helpful to start off a medical program and eventually a medical career. So yes, there's not that many, but there are examples of our graduates going into the medical program. Not only medical, but dentistry as well. Yes. In fact, in the US, all medical programs, I may be wrong, yeah, may not be all, but most universities, they accept graduate entry into the medical program. You must have a science degree to get in. It's not through your pre-university like A levels, and that's why we have graduate medical courses. Yeah. So yes, absolutely. The answer is biomedical science course can prepare you for a medical program or a medical career.
What are the other advantages does having a biomedical science degree can prepare you or give you a higher advantage when you want to go into medicine or dentistry?
So coming back to the curriculum, the syllabus that we talked about, where biomedical science students study cardiorespiratory system, all the organ systems in the body. So that is actually the basis of a medical program. So imagine a medical program dividing into 2 parts. The first phase being the medical sciences, and the second phase, the clinical sciences. So the clinical part, so where they go to, students are attached to a hospital. So the first phase, which takes 2.5 years, they study about all the organ systems, anatomy, physiology, pathology, and all that. The only thing that we don't really cover is the treatment, right? We don't really go in depth into treatment. We focus more on the diagnosis, understanding the pathophysiology and the investigations, the tests that are needed to help doctors diagnose the disease. So in that sense, it gives the student a very good insight into what a medical program can offer, at least the first part of the medical program. Yeah.
I see.
Yeah. So the maturity of that, not only in age, but the maturity of thinking and of the command of that knowledge is much better. Yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Lim, for answering this.
You're most welcome.
So, what are some factors that biomedical science and medical biotechnology graduates should contemplate when pursuing their roles abroad, such as in Singapore or any country else?
Okay, thanks for the question. So this is a tough question to answer because the requirements for career in different countries are different. So, for example, in the UK, I'll give an example of the UK because I may be more familiar with that through IBMS. In the UK, they have their own Health and Care Professions Council. They call it HCPC. Just like it's like a counterpart of our own Malaysian Allied Health Professions Council. So this is called HCPC. So under that council, the term biomedical science is a protected term, is a protected profession, yes, and they need license to practice and all that. So in order to practice or work in the UK as a biomedical scientist, you need to register with that council. And in order to do that, you have to fulfill the requirements of that particular council. So that council will differ, requirements will differ from country to country. If Singapore has its own council, you will have to meet the requirements of that council. All right? So the advantage, maybe I'll touch a little bit about IBMS accreditation. We'll be working very hard to get re-accredited very soon, but up to 2025, all our graduates will be graduating from an IBMS accredited program. So what does that mean for our graduates? Is that if you plan to, of course, number one is recognition. Yeah, it's an international accreditation, meaning international recognition of the program in terms of quality and the standards. Secondly, if you plan to work in the UK as a medical laboratory scientist or biomedical scientist, there are two hurdles. Okay, the first hurdle is that they will look at your degree program. All right. So if you graduate from a degree that is not IBMS accredited, they will scrutinize. They will go deep dive into your module guides. They will look up, if you remember that case, right? We had a student, or we have a graduate who plans to work in the UK, but she graduated before we obtained the IBMS accreditation, and there was a lot of work trying to find out the historical documents of what she studied. So with IBMS accreditation, you don't have to do that. Okay? Immediately they recognize, oh, IBMS accredited degree, move on to the next hurdle. What is the next hurdle? You will need to be attached to a HCPC, so an accredited lab in the UK for what we call an IBMS registration portfolio. So it's like an attachment, but you are salaried. Okay, you are actually paid, and you have to present a portfolio. It's just like an assessment. Yeah, you have to present that, and once you pass, per se, or approved, and then you get to apply to become a biomedical scientist. You get to apply for a license. So imagine that process may differ from country to country, and that's why it's very difficult for us to answer what happens in general, globally.
Just an add-on question. So which regions or country that really stand out as prime destinations for those who are looking to expand their career horizons globally?
Okay, so we cannot specify like you can go to all these countries, and then you will get a job there. But based on our experience, I share the latest info that we have. So before that, it's highly depend on the students, as what Dr. Lim have mentioned. So first, get yourself equipped with all the necessary skills, and then you shall apply. So for our BM 120 batch, right? So we have students going into, this is for their mobility attachment. Yeah, so they are going into Taiwan, Fuyin University. We have students going to Otago, New Zealand, they explore, and then going into Singapore, UK, and also Australia. So these are currently the latest trend. The students like to explore all these countries. And then some of them are already doing their postgraduate studies in some of the places that I have mentioned. Yeah, so the destination is quite a lot. It's up to you to venture. And since there are already some of your alumni there, some of your seniors there, I think that giving a good rapport on IMU students, and then the next batch, it should be easier to get into once you are ready with all those necessary skills and capabilities. Yes.
Yeah, thank you for Dr. Shamala's sharing. And from your point of view, how do salary prospect in biomedical science compare to other STEM fields? And what factors can influence earning potential within the field?
Okay, thank you for the question. Another very difficult question to answer because it depends on the industry. So different industries, they have different salary scales and different starting pays. Even within the same industry, let's say medical laboratory science, different companies offer different salary scales. I would say we are compatible to any other fresh graduate out there. So I wouldn't name exactly how much because the income bracket may change. Of course, if you come out as a fresh graduate, join a company as a fresh graduate, your qualification will be at the most basic, so your salary will be at the lower rung. But as you advance in your career ladder, and as you gain new skills and new qualifications, maybe you want to do a postgraduate study, a master's, an MBA, or an MSc, depending on which career direction that you go to, then your salary scale will be different. Yeah? If you choose to join, let's say, the sales and marketing team, there is an additional income called the, what is that?
Commission.
Commission.
Commission. I was thinking of the word.
Yeah, so you have a basic salary and then you have a commission. So that might increase your income a little bit.
A lot, actually.
Yeah, a lot. If it's
When
a
you can talk,
specialized,
it's a lot.
By percentage, right?
It's not all about money, isn't it? But we need to survive. I understand that. If you do, let's say, a specialized career, a specialized profession, for example, clinical embryology, like you mentioned. So you work in an IVF clinic. That income bracket could also be a little bit higher compared to, let's say, an MLT. But I'm talking in general. Some companies actually offer quite an attractive package. So again, I can't pinpoint an exact number. I would say we are competitive as a fresh graduate, but if you equip yourself with the right qualifications that the employers want, they may offer you a more attractive package. So that's what I can comment. Dr. Shamala, you want to add?
I think you covered it well. Talking about salary, you asked me we're supposed to start with what would be our basics. It's very, very difficult to answer because it really varies. But if you really want to make good money, it's about sales and marketing, obviously.
But be your own boss.
Yeah, be on your own boss. But it's also about knowledge and what you're passionate of doing. That's another thing.
Yeah, understand.
So here comes a question that I want to ask. So how fresh graduate, is there a salary difference, the starting salary, this fresh graduate will get this, but if you have a master or PhD degree along with you, would your salary, your starting salary be higher?
Yeah, I did mention that just now. If you have additional qualification, then you can demand a higher pay. But then again, you have to think whether that particular job requires a postgraduate degree or not. You might be overqualified for the job, if you get what I mean. So if you compare to someone who's a fresh graduate, and the company only needs a fresh graduate to do that job, you will lose out in the competition.
The advantage you lose.
Exactly. So you have to be very strategic to decide whether you want to do a postgraduate study or not. Yeah. So not necessarily.
So
that's
then,
the answer.
would you say should students right after they finish their degree, should they straight go to masters or PhD, or should they maybe start out with a job first and then they continue to their masters or PhD?
So again, that depends. I have had many instances where students ask me the same question. So, there are good examples of graduates going out there and just doing a few years in an industry, getting a job, and then coming back to do a master's with that job experience. So there are pros and cons of each. So I give you an example of someone who has my master's student actually. She graduated a few years ago and she went straight into medical laboratory with a hospital. And then she ventured out into a company offering cytogenetic solutions, right? And then she did a part-time master's with me, right? So you have that option of part-time as well if you have a full-time job. So there's no straight and fast answer to that. It really depends on what your career goals are. And if you want to venture into academia, so we are academics, right? We work in a university. You definitely need a postgraduate degree. You need a PhD. And some of us go straight to PhD because we follow the research route. Okay, so we do our PhD is research based. But there are other postgraduate programs that are mixed mode, called mixed mode. You have the study portion, and then you have the research project portion. So again, you have to decide for yourself. I'm not going to be able to tell you exactly which route is the best. There are pros and cons. Of course, if you go straight to PhD, it's faster, but then you lose out on that job experience that others may have. Yeah, but if you go for a job and then you come back to study, that transition back to the studenthood is going to be tough.
Yeah.
Yes, it's not that it's impossible. People have done it. It's just that you're going to have additional commitment as well. Yeah. So yeah, that's my feedback on that.
Thank you, Dr. Lim.
You're welcome.
And Dr. Shamala, do you have anything to add on, just in case?
I don't think so. I think pretty covered because, like me, I actually I do it straight. After my degree, then I did my master's in research, then I did my PhD. So there is a route that you want to do it straight. It's like pro and cons, obviously. You know, when you come out, you have to make sure that you are equipped with whatever experience that the academic is actually looking for. So experience in teaching and all that. So you have to even do it by the time, like when you're doing your research, so that you won't be lost in certain trend. You know. So it's about balancing. Right? So let's say when you are going to work, then you want to come back, right? So you have to make sure that you're also in the trend, like what is happening in the academic. Because by the time you come back, you're lost. Oh, you have to write paper, have to publish 2 papers, a lot of things.
Yeah.
So it's about balancing. How stable are you? Because you have to look at the financial side of it, you know, commitments and all that. I think taken into like overall picture, then I think you have to draw what is the best for you. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for your sharing. So before end of this discussion, what keys takeaway do you hope our listeners have gained from today's discussion about biomedical science myths and realities?
Okay, so I will do that first. Because most of the time when she covered, then I don't have much tips to say, you know, because she covered overall of it. So let me start first this time.
Okay.
So biomedical science is diverse. I think that is what I want to say. Okay, it's not limited just with pathology lab and being there. So it's about wide range of discipline that we covered, from biochemistry, genetics, you know, pharmacology, you know, your favorite subject, and so on. So it's not limited to medicine and laboratory research alone. But then you can still extend to, you know, public health, you know, biotechnology, industry, medicines, and so on. Okay. Other than that, the career opportunity are abundant. So it's not based on biomedical science only going back to work in the lab. No, it's beyond that, like what we have stated. So other professionals, like whatever we have mentioned there, is actually expanding, you know, becoming more and more. So I will be very happy when we have more graduates going out there, you know, break the rule of ending up in the lab. It doesn't mean that biomedical scientists, you don't go to the lab anymore, but also when there are some percentage exploring beyond that. I think that are 2 important messages that I would like to highlight here. Yep.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Shamala.
Okay, Dr. Shamala, I think you mentioned everything I wanted to mention. So just to add on a little bit, I think I've been emphasizing this so much, but yeah, key takeaway is to equip ourselves. No matter which profession you choose, it's so diverse, right? You need to be ahead of others. And how do we do that? Is one, to understand what employers want. And we have this career fairs, we have the IAB, Industry Advisory Board. So leverage on this. We have also CV writing workshops and all that. So all this is prepared for you, to prepare you to be career ready. Yep. So I don't want to hear absentees, you know, because you want to go back home time. So anyway, so make full use of these opportunities to build yourself and make yourself prepared for the future. Yeah. So yeah, that's my key takeaway.
Just a last point. Academic qualification obviously is very, very important. We don't deny that. But additional qualifications such as the soft skills really matter. Like coming back to the communication, leaderships, teamwork, leading a team, you know, all that I think really can brush up yourself and then get yourself different from others, right? You can see like out of 40 people in one class, how many of people who is leading a team basically, going out as a I mean like the chairperson of a project or leader in a society, something like that. So that differ you from others who are being the team player, but you are the team leader, something like that. So I think find a way that you can establish yourself in a different manner as well, besides the academic qualification. Yep.
All right, thank you, Dr. Shamala and Dr. Lim.
Thank you very much for having us.
Thank you for
you.
the opportunity.
So we hope our listener enjoy our deep dive into this debunking myths and uncovering the truths behind this fascinating field. We are incredibly grateful for our guests, Dr. Lim and Dr. Shamala, for sharing this expertise and shedding light on this misconception surrounding biomed. If you found today's episode informative and fun, don't forget to subscribe to our podcast and leave us a good review. And if you have any questions, comments, or suggestions for future episodes, we did love to hear from you. You can reach out to us on our official Instagram page at ISBS_IMU. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll catch you on the next episode of Biomedcast.